friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany, where I have new videos every week about books and the geeky mom lifestyle. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing all the books that I'm planning on reading in December. Wow, it's December, it's the end of the year. Have I finished everything I wanted to read this year? No, absolutely not, but we're doing the best that we can. I have a lot of exciting books to share with you today, and then a few books that I'm going to be reading between the end of November and the early part of December for the Romance Takeover Readathon are in my Romance Takeover Readathon TBR, which I will link up above. So if you haven't seen that yet and you want to see the romance books that I'm going to be reading in the early part of the month, that is where you can find those. With that said, let's move on and talk about the first thing I'm going to be reading, which is the Patreon Book Club pick of the month. For December, the genre was holiday romance, and my patrons voted on us reading In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This is one that I have on audio, so I'm going to be listening to it that way, and it's supposed to be a fun contemporary romantic comedy that has elements of kind of a Groundhog Day thing to it, where someone's caught in a time loop but around the holidays. Hopefully that will be a good time. Thank you so much to all my patrons for your support, and now is probably a good time to mention, you may have noticed in a couple earlier videos or in this video, some changes have happened. There are now new tier titles for the Patreon, and more tiers are going to be recognized in a new way. So you will be seeing this screen thanking my patrons in all my videos, which is very exciting. If you're interested in joining the book club and supporting the work of the channel, the link is always in the video description down below. With that said, let's move on and talk about the other things I'm going to be reading in December. Every month my patrons are also entered into a raffle, and the winner gets to select a book from my TBR they want to see me read and review. This month the winner was Tara, and she wants me to read The Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. I'm actually pretty excited about this. It's something I'm interested in, but I feel like it would probably continue to languish on my TBR, so I'm kind of glad to get the push to read this. This one is interesting because I know it's a story within a story. I believe it's about an author who's writing a murder mystery and then has to solve a mystery in real life, something like that, and I enjoy those kind of story within a story type books. Hopefully this will be fun. I will be reading this one in December. Then in terms of physical books that I really want to get to before the end of the year, I've got One More for Christmas by Sarah Morgan. This is her 2020 holiday novel, which, you know, she always writes a Christmas novel. I would really like to read this before Christmas. Hopefully it'll be fun. And then another one I really want to get to before the end of 2020 is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I love N.K. Jemisin. I feel like I'm probably going to love this book. I just need to read it. And it came out early this year. I still haven't read it. I live in New York City. I'm going to try to make this happen before the end of the year. Then I have some books for review, some physical books, and also some e-arcs. So we'll start with the physical books. Sourcebooks Fire very kindly sent me a package with some books, and these are all titles I'm hoping to get to in December. One of them I want to try to finish, or at least start in November, but given how my reading's going right now, I may not finish this one in November, so I'm just going to put both of them on this TBR. So two of them are part of the same series. We have Kingdom of Exiles by Maxim M. Martineau, and then upcoming release in December, The Frozen Prince, which is book 2. So these are kind of, I think, YA new adult fantasy romance series with part of the Beast Charmer series. I've heard good things. I love the covers. They got a cover change, and this is now in a trade paperback size. I think it released as a mass market. So yeah, these are two that I'm really interested in reading. Thank you to Sourcebooks Fire for those. If I can't finish this in November, I will read it in December and give you my thoughts on both of those. And then the other book I have from them is one that's a January release that I'm very excited for. This is Bedazzled by Ryan LaSala. So I really enjoyed Reverie, which was Ryan LaSala's debut in 2020, and this is his second book, and the premise sounds fantastic. It says, Project Runway goes to Comic-Con in an epic queer love story about creativity, passion, and finding the courage to be your most authentic self. Yes, anything going to Comic-Con, I'm so here for it. Ideally, I'd like to read this one in December. And then my last physical arc doesn't actually come out until May, but the editor sent it to me and I'd like to get to it sooner than later. This is called Ariadne by Jennifer St. And, I mean, unsurprisingly, this is a retelling of the myth of Ariadne. And I think it's such an interesting story in Greek mythology, and I would love to see it retold well. because I've seen some retellings that aren't so good. So I'm really, really excited to see what the author does with this. It sounds like it's going to be fun. All right, next let's talk about my e-arcs from NetGalley, because I have a few of them I'm planning on getting to this month. First is a January release. This is Across the Grass Green Fields by Shauna McGuire, or is it Green Grass Fields? I forget which order it is, but this is the latest book in the Wayward Children series, coming out in January. I love the entire series. I'm sure I'm going to love this one. This one is in like the Hooflands, I think. It's like a horse related area, so I'm sure it's going to be interesting. Then a December release that I'm going to be reading is Universe of Wishes. This is a YA anthology put together through We Need Diverse Books, edited by Danielle Clayton, with short stories from a bunch of great YA authors. I like a lot of the authors in this anthology, so I think it's going to be fun. Then another one, I forgot, I actually have a physical copy of this one as well as the ebook copy of it, so I might read it physically. This is Off Limits Attraction by J.C. Lee, part of the Harlequin Desire line, and it's the third book in this series. I really liked the first one, and I do want to read the rest of these. This one has a heroine who has an icy heiress facade and is falling for the producer, I think, of a film producer. I don't know. She has like a fling with a film producer. I'm sure it'll be fun. Then I have 3 more January releases that I want to get to. The first one is a historical romance that honestly I mostly requested because I really like the cover. This is The Ballad of Hattie Taylor by Susan Anderson, and this is a romance set in the American West. So I think that's fun. The cover looks interesting. I'm going to be reading it. What does it say? So it's set in Oregon at the turn of the century, so frontier romance between a free-spirited outsider, Hattie Taylor, and a widow who, I think she's the ward of his mother and he's thought she's off limits, but I don't know. It sounds like it's gonna be fun. Then I have a historical fantasy romance that looks fun. This is called The Ruthless Lady's Guide to Wizardry by C.M. Wagoner. Hard-drinking petty thief Delaria Wells is down on her luck in the city of Life's Court again. Then she sees a want ad for a female bodyguard and fast talks her way into the high-paying job. Along with a team of other women, she's meant to protect a rich young lady from mysterious assassins. And then she starts to fall for one of the other bodyguards, so this is a female-female historical fantasy romance. Sounds like it's going to be a good time. And then lastly, I have an audio arc from NetGalley of a book that sounds really interesting. This is called Find Me in Havana by Serena Burdick. It says it's a novel based on the dazzling story of one of Hollywood's most celebrated Hispanic actresses and her daughter's search for closure. So part of it is set in Cuba in 1936, and the other part of it is set 30 years later with her daughter trying to uncover things about her mother's past. This sounds really interesting. It's based on real history, but it is obviously a fictional account, and that just looked really interesting. So there you go. Those are all of the books that I'm planning on reading in December. I mean, I'll probably read other books as well, but those are the ones that I'm going to tell you I'm really going to try super hard to read. And, you know, we'll see what happens. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on any of the books that I talked about today. And for your question of the day, let me know, what is the one book that you want to finish before the end of 2020? Before the end of the year, what is that book on your TBR that you really, really want to get to? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more, and if you want to support the work of the channel, the Patreon is linked in the video description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.